Hi, my name is Carl St. Lucie, and this is Dramatis Personae, a Star Trek read aloud show. We are very excited to bring you Babel today from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. This is an episode that aired in October of 1992. This is one of the very first episodes of the show. I recently started watching the series again and just had no recollection of this episode. So when I watched it again, it was very fun to rediscover it. Um, and I'm very pleased to introduce you to my cast, who I'm going to switch to right now. So when I read the cast member's name, I'm going to have them say hello and tell you what part they're playing, um, and that is how they will be seen. So let me just switch to that now. The first name on our list. I have so many windows open. Yes. So we first of all. Oh my God, where'd it go? Ah, there it is. We have Paul Bloomer. Paul, could you say hello? Hello,
Hello
Paul?
there. I'm Paul. I'm playing Chief Miles O'Brien. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, and we can see you too. Wonderful. Thank you, Paul. Next, we have Robbie Laughton.
Hello, I'm Robbie, and I'm playing Dr. Julian here.
Robbie, do you think you could say that one more time? That kind of glitched out a little bit there.
Yeah, definitely. I'm Robbie, and I'm playing Julian Bashir.
Wonderful. And then we have Maxim Cullum Rex.
I'm Max. I'm playing Jake.
Then we have Angel Martí Castillo.
Hello, I'm Angel, and I am a shapeless tub of goo, and also I play Odo.
All right, and we have Leah Newton.
I am Leah. I'll be playing Major Kira.
And Leta Chrisman.
I am Leta. I'll be playing Lieutenant Dax.
We have Morgan Murphy.
Hello, I'm Morgan, and I will be the voice of the computer.
We have Kirsten Lee Johnson.
Hello, I will be the fearless leader of the station, Commander SISKO.
We have Bex Renfro.
Hi, I'm Bex. I'm playing Quark today.
We have Casey Lowry.
Hello, I'm Casey. I'll be playing Jahil and Bajoran security guard.
Yes. We have Stephanie Philpotts.
Hello, I'm Steffi, and I'll be playing Nurse Jabara.
We also have James Field.
Hello, I'll be playing Sir Mac Wren.
We have Zach Coates.
Hi, I'll be playing Azoth and Starfleet Mail.
We have Charlene. Charlene, can you remind me your last name one more time?
Templeman.
Templeman. Wonderful. We have Charlene Templeman.
Hi, I'll be playing Gallus Lynn.
And we have David Crow.
Hey, I'm doing stage directions.
Wonderful. I got everyone, right? Did I forget anybody? Okay, wonderful. We did not. As you're learning, I love this show. This is a very fun show. I think one of the really fun things about this time we're living in that is not fun at all, but I think it's fun that we're in a moment where people are experimenting and trying new things and letting things be kind of imperfect and incremental. And so yeah, that's just a note that this is going to be rough and ready. It's going to be fun, and I truly hope you enjoy it. So with that, we are going to get started. I'm going to switch to gallery view. Nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go back to speaker view. I'm going to mute myself, and then we will get started. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Teaser. Fade in. At an airlock gate, 3 newly arrived visitors to Deep Space Nine are trapped inside the airlock. They bang their fists in frustration against the window. O'Brien, looking tired and harried, stands on the other side of the gate, trying to placate them.
Look, save your energy. We'll have you out of there as soon as possible. I hope.
He turns towards his repair queue, who are working inside an open panel.
Try rerouting the power coupling.
A hand taps O'Brien impatiently on the shoulder.
Mr. O'Brien!
See if you can activate the interlock servos.
Another shoulder tap.
Mr. O'Brien!
Captain Jaheen, those people have been stuck in that airlock for over an hour. Now, if you just wait until we get that door opened, I'll be happy to discuss any problem you might have.
But I have already been waiting 2 days for your people to readjust my ship's antimatter flow converter.
Well, I'm afraid we've fallen a bit behind in our maintenance schedule.
I'm not interested in hearing excuses. I have a shipment of Taman Shashir waiting to be delivered to Largo 5, and I'll need to do better than Warp 1 to get there before it spoils.
I'll try to get a repair crew on it before the end of the day. Now, that's the best I can do.
Your best, Mr. O'Brien, hardly seems good enough.
Jaheel turns and storms away, leaving behind a scowling O'Brien.
Dex to O'Brien.
O'Brien here.
Can you spare a minute, Chief? I have a little problem here at the lab.
On my way.
Glances over at the repair crew. Outside the laboratory, Dax stands by the door as O'Brien approaches.
Thanks for coming, Chief.
What are you doing out here?
Dax touches the door's entry panel. The door slides open, and we're assaulted by a loud cacophony of whine blaring from within the room.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
They move into the laboratory.
Apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the
Have you checked the EPS converter?
Yes, first thing.
How about the intensity grid?
It's fine.
It's probably the secondary phase modulator. We had some problem with them last week in the main power core.
He opens up a panel. Make some adjustments.
Head on, apply directly to the forehead.
This should do it.
The noise abruptly stops. At the same moment, lights go out, plunging the room into utter darkness.
Anything else I can do for you?
In ops, Kira leans over her desk console as she talks to someone.
The navigational computer hasn't been working reliably for 3 days. I asked for the star charts of the Argothian sector. Glycine sector comes up instead.
O'Brien is half buried in an open panel.
Uh-huh.
That's when I can even coax the system online.
Try it now.
Kira taps a control panel. The console lights up.
That's more like it.
O'Brien sighs. He closes the panel and gets to his feet.
You look like you could use some sleep.
Who has time for sleep?
In the background, SISKO stands before a food replicator.
Coffee.
O'Brien sits down at Kira's station.
Settle for 5 minutes of peace and quiet.
SISKO takes his first deep sip of Java. It's awful.
Chief, I thought you were going to fix the replicators.
O'Brien shoots Kira a long-suffering look as he hauls himself out of his seat.
You're absolutely right, sir. I knew I had forgotten something. Can't have the operations chief sitting around daydreaming when there's work to be done, can we? I'll get right on it.
He exits. SISKO looks over at Kira. We cut to O'Brien lying on his back in an access tunnel as he works on the circuitry with his various tools.
Fix the replicators, Chief. My console's offline, Chief. Should have transferred to a cargo drone. No people, no complaints.
He completes the repair and moves out of the tunnel and into the corridor. There's a small replicator unit in the wall. He touches the panel, and the entire display blacks out. A bright electrical discharge envelops the panel. O'Brien steps back, startled. Suddenly, the discharge disappears. The panel looks completely normal again. O'Brien scans the unit with his tricorder. There's nothing wrong with it. He scowls.
Hot coffee, black, double sweet.
A steaming mug of coffee materializes. O'Brien picks it up and takes a wary sip. It's delicious. Finally, something's working. O'Brien takes a big gulp from the mug and closes the panel. We hear him exit down the corridor whistling. The camera pans along the replicator circuitry, coming to rest on an alien device attached to it. The device suddenly activates, a light pulsating on and off. Whatever this thing is, it definitely doesn't belong here. Fade out, end of teaser. Act 1, fade in. In Quark's, Odo observes the premises from his seat at the bar. Actually, there's not much to see. Only 3 or 4 customers in the entire place.
Tell me, Quark, am I mistaken, or is business a little slow today?
Slow? It's been almost non-existent for the past 3 days.
Who knows? If things don't improve, you may have to close down. Let's just say that without you around, my job would be considerably easier.
Without me around, you'd be forced to find some other poor innocent to persecute. Think about that while you sit here gloating at my misfortune.
Quark!
Asoth slams his food bowl onto the bar.
You call this Calasian stew?
Confronted by the large, angry alien, Quark turns on his most obsequious charm.
If your meal isn't satisfactory, I'm sure we could exchange it for something more to your liking.
Asoth grabs Quark by the collar.
Aren't you the least bit curious about how it tastes?
He spoons up some of the stew and shoves it into Quark's mouth. Quark takes one bite and immediately spits out the hideous tasting gruel.
Oh, no, you don't. You served it. You're going to eat it.
He scoops up another spoonful. Odo appears behind him and places a restraining hand on his shoulder.
All right, that's enough.
Ignoring Odo, Asoth tries thrusting the spoon between Quark's lips.
You heard me. Eat it.
Odo's hand clamps down on Asoth's shoulder. The alien drops this spoon and grunts in pain.
I said leave him alone.
Asoth nods in agreement. Odo releases him. Clutching his shoulder, the alien beats a hasty retreat.
Another satisfied customer.
It's these replicators. If I don't get them repaired soon, they'll destroy my business.
Why not get O'Brien to fix them? He has the replicators on the command level working perfectly.
I'm on his waiting list. He assures me he'll get to them as soon as he can.
No telling when that will be. The chief's a very busy man.
Odo exits. Quark immediately moves to the computer panel behind the bar.
Computer, display a station layout. Highlight locations of all repaired replicators on the command level.
Information restricted to security clearance 5 and above. Please enter security verification.
Quark pulls out a drawer full of the Cardassian equivalent of isolinear chips. He counts off 5 of them, pulls out the 5th one, and places it into the computer panel.
Clearance verified.
The computer displays a graphic of the station plans, indicating several locations. Quark studies the layout, a self-satisfied grin on his face. In Ops, O'Brien's hand removes a coffee from inside the replicator and passes it to SISKO.
Here you go, sir. I think you'll find it more to your liking.
SISKO takes a sip.
Much appreciated, Mr. O'Brien.
Don't mention it, sir. Unfortunately, there's still plenty of replicators around the station that need looking after.
O'Brien mops his brow.
You all right, Chief?
Bit warm, that's all. The environmental controls must be acting up again.
O'Brien starts away, but is stopped by SISKO.
Please send my regards to Mrs. O'Brien. Jake tells me she's a wonderful teacher.
That's nice to hear, sir. She's flower units about the lad himself.
Excuse me?
Sir?
What was that you just said?
She's quite fond of the lad herself.
Glad to hear it.
Very good, sir.
A somewhat perplexed O'Brien heads back to his station. On the promenade, Dax and Kira, off duty, are strolling through the complex. A Bajoran security guard passes by and shoots Dax a warm smile.
Lieutenant Dax.
She returns the smile. An alien business comes out of a shop and nods pleasantly.
Ladies.
Dax and Kira nod back. A few more steps and they encounter a Starfleet crew member. He grins boyishly at Dax.
Hello, Lieutenant.
Dax smiles and looks over at Kira.
I'd forgotten how different it was.
How different what was?
Being female. I haven't been one for over 80 years.
She reacts to another smile from a friendly passerby.
All this attention?
I imagine it must take some getting used to.
Actually, I find it quite enjoyable.
Major Kira, Lieutenant Dax.
Leaning against the part of the bar counter facing the promenade, Quark is Quark. Behind him, we see that the business has picked up considerably.
I'd be honored to have you join my little party. As my guests, of course.
What's all this, Quark? You cheat your 1,000th customer?
Who says Bajorans have no sense of humor? Actually, we're celebrating the repair of the bar's replicator system. Perhaps I could interest you in a nice double-whipped lay-in spice pudding.
What do you think?
I think I'm due back at Ops. But go on, enjoy yourself.
Kira leaves. Dax looks over at Quark, who anxiously awaits her decision. Dax shrugs. Why not? She moves towards the doorway and makes her way over to the bar where Quark is giving the bum's rush to a customer in order to make room for her. He fawningly escorts her to a seat.
Please, make yourself comfortable, Lieutenant. I did say a double-whipped spice pudding, didn't I?
From beneath the counter, he pulls out an outrageously caloric dessert and places it in front of her.
It's lovely. I almost hate to eat it.
By all means, take the time to admire its beauty, while I admire yours.
Back in Ops, O'Brien is at his station, looking sweaty and pale. He steadies himself against a console, trying to clear his head.
Chief?
How can I help you, Major?
She touches his brow.
Seems like you're the one who could use a little help.
I'm fine, really.
I guess this isn't a good time to tell you the number 3 turbolift has broken down again.
O'Brien gives Kira a puzzled look.
I'm joking, Chief.
Major, cat's lark pepper?
What?
Let birds go loose further, maybe. Shout, easy play.
Chief, you're not making any sense.
Round the turbulent quick?
Kira shakes her head.
Close the reverse harbor.
By now, the rest of the Ops crew is staring at O'Brien.
Greased pole, bleached teeth?
O'Brien heads for the turbo lift.
Dinner to bug. When?
Chief, wait.
She hurries after him. Fade out. End of Act 1. Act 2. Fade in. Down in the infirmary, O'Brien is seated on the diagnostic bed. as Bashir examines his eyes with a sophisticated scanner.
Computer, continue neural imaging scan. Stimulate visual cortex.
A beat as the scanner runs through its test. Then,
All visual responses normal.
Bashir crosses to a workstation and grabs a device which he places over O'Brien's ears.
Computer, begin auditory stimuli.
Another series of tests are completed. Then,
No physiological damage. All brain functions within normal parameters.
Bashir removes the equipment.
Nurse, pull up Mr. O'Brien's neurophysiological history.
Yes, Doctor.
She seats herself at a workstation and begins accessing the information. Mr. O'Brien looks at Bashir and knows the diagnosis isn't good. He gets up and grabs a pad, punches in a message, and pushes it towards the doctor.
What is it? What's he writing?
I wish I knew.
He shows the pad to Kira. The screen is filled with gibberish.
Please,
Flame
Chief.
the dark. Sorry. Flame the dark true salt.
Please, Chief, have a seat.
O'Brien pushes away.
Waylink complete. Waylink.
Kira touches his shoulder. He whirls around. Their eyes lock in silent, sympathetic communication. He allows her to lead him to the bed.
What's wrong with him?
He appears to be suffering from a form of aphasia. It's a perceptual dysfunction in which oral and visual stimuli are incorrectly processed by the brain. His actual thinking hasn't been effective for himself or understanding others.
Strike limits, victory, frosted wake, simple hesitation.
Kira and Bashir exchange concerned looks. In ops, SISKO, Bashir, Dax, and Kira sit at the operations table.
Not sure I follow you, Doctor. You say Mr. O'Brien is aphasic, but all of his tests come up negative.
Dax wipes her forehead. She appears a little flushed.
Isn't aphasia typically associated with some kind of cranial trauma?
Yes, it can occur as a result of a stroke or blow to the head, but there's no evidence of that here.
Have you checked the medical library for precedents?
And rechecked. Nothing so far.
Have you any theories?
Not yet.
Find one. Major, get hold of the Chief's personal duty log. I want to know where he's been and what he's done for the past 52 hours.
I've already examined it, Commander. He's been all over the station.
Retrace his steps. See what you come up with. Dax, you will temporarily assume Mr. O'Brien's duties.
Dax's face is slick with perspiration. She appears slightly disoriented.
Yes, I'll...
The others are now aware of her discomfort.
Is there a problem, Lieutenant?
Dax stares blankly at him.
Lieutenant.
I'm sorry, Benjamin, but I'm unable to foolish, assembled, regal, control weather.
It's the next day in the infirmary. SISKO and Bashir are at a wall monitor studying a display which details a virus-like organism.
Commander, spontaneous development of aphasia is virtually impossible. But we saw Lieutenant Dax become aphasic before our eyes. That told me we were dealing with a disease that only mimics aphasia. So I ran a full neural synaptic comparison of Dax and O'Brien, and found this in the temporal lobes of both patients.
A virus.
It imposes itself within established synaptic pathways and then randomly reroutes them. For example, when I look at this tricorder, a process occurs in my brain which connects this stimulus to the word tricorder. The virus disrupts that process.
I'd see the tricorder, but I would say something ridiculous like window.
Exactly.
Suddenly, we hear a babble of voices from behind them. SISKO and Bashir turn to see Nurse Jabara and two Starfleet crew members at the doorway.
Doctor, I think you better get over here.
SISKO and Bashir walk over and are immediately confronted by the crew members, both talking at once and making no sense at all.
Knight, the flow trade again?
Few lost pile luck. Channel back the garden.
SISKO and BASHIR exchange a look.
Doctor, I want this station put under emergency quarantine immediately.
Odo exits the turbo lift onto the promenade. He glances up and down the street, which is deserted except for 2 passers-by. Odo is about to re-enter the turbo lift to continue his round when he hears a noise coming from Quark's. He goes to investigate. Quark's is surprisingly busy. Odo enters, takes one look at the crowd, and makes a beeline for Quark, who's behind the bar.
Quark, what is going on here?
What does it look like?
It looks like business as usual, but that's impossible because all shops and businesses have been closed until further notice.
Except, of course, for essential station operations.
For which this place hardly qualifies.
Quark eyes the house.
I don't think they would agree. This quarantine has everyone on edge, Constable. Would you deprive them of a little harmless diversion?
They'd be safer in their quarters.
Asoth passes by.
Quark, that Calasian stew, magnificent.
Quark nods modestly, then notices Odo's questioning look.
Fortunately, my assistant, Ram, was able to fix the replicators.
Yes, very fortunate.
On the second level of the promenade, Jake leans against the railing, looking down at the street below.
Jake?
Jake's head snaps up and sees his father headed his way.
I expected you home an hour ago.
Sorry, I was over at Nog's.
They start down the staircase.
Dad, about this quarantine. It's going to be okay, isn't it?
It's just a precaution, nothing more.
They reach the bottom of the stairs, only to find an anxious Captain Jahil waiting for them.
I wish I shared your confidence, Commander.
SISKO gives Jake an encouraging pat.
Go on home, son. I'll see you at dinner.
Jake leaves. SISKO watches him go, then turns towards Jahil.
Captain Jahil, all visitors have been confined to their ships.
Believe me, there's no place I'd rather be.
Then what are you doing here?
Searching for you. Commander, I officially request permission to leave this station.
Request denied.
But none of my crew has been affected by this virus of yours. Unless I depart at once, my entire cargo is going to be ruined.
Captain, I suggest you return to your ship. Now.
Please, I don't want to get sick.
I'm sorry, but until we find a cure for this thing, no one's going anywhere.
Mustering up his remaining dignity, Jahil nods and exits. In a corridor, Quark pushes a small cart along the passageway and stops in front of a door with a Starfleet logo prominently displayed. He checks the corridor. It's clear. He taps a code into a Ferengi pad. We hear a click, the door opens, and he enters. Into empty crew quarters. The room is dark. Quark moves quickly to the replicator and checks a pad.
Let's start with one Ferengi Star Drifter, please. Extra strong.
The goblet-sized drink materializes. Quark turns to place it on the cart, which suddenly morphs into Odo. A startled Quark drops the glass.
I thought the front wheels were sticking out a bit.
Unauthorized access to crew quarters is a crime, Quark. You could have just asked to use the replicators.
There's an old Ferengi saying, never ask when you can take. How did you figure it out anyway?
You claimed Rom fixed your replicators.
So?
Rom's an idiot. He couldn't fix a straw if it was bent.
As he leads Quark out of the room.
You're right. He is an idiot. Remind me to get rid of him tomorrow.
Back in ops, SISKO, BASHIR, and Kira are at the operations table.
Based on the levels of the virus found in the patient's blood, I believe it's being absorbed through ingestion.
You're saying it's in our food?
That's not possible. All the food on the station is replicated, and all the replicators use biofilters. They automatically screen out contaminants, including viruses.
Major, I have analyzed samples from all over the station. All of the food on the command level is contaminated with the virus.
But all of us here have eaten from those replicators. How come we're not aphasic?
This virus is highly adaptable. Its gestation period seems to vary from each individual.
According to O'Brien's duty log, the last thing he did before becoming aphasic was fix the command level replicators. But I had a repair crew inspect the site. They found nothing suspicious.
Look again, closer. Let's shut down the command level replicators. At the very least, we can contain this thing.
I'm not sure it's going to do it, sir. I've been getting aphasic patients from all over the station.
How is that possible?
You can thank Quark.
Odo joins the group.
I caught him using a replicator in one of the vacant crew quarters. He was producing his entire menu out of there.
And contaminating all his customers.
BASHIR takes a reading with his medical tricorder.
If this virus is present in a large enough segment of the population, it could mean...
BASHIR rises. He quickly crosses over to Dax's station and feeds the information from the tricorder into a monitor.
What is it, Doctor?
I just took an air sample.
We recognize the same organism we saw earlier in the infirmary.
The virus?
It's mutated into an airborne variety.
Which means
the whole station is infected.
Fade out. End of Act 2. Act 3. We see Deep Space Nine set in the jet black vastness of space.
Station log stardate 46423.7. Nearly 60% of DS9's population has now contracted the aphasia virus. We are advising all incoming ships to maintain their distance from the station until further notice.
Back in the access tunnel, Kira and a repair crew are carefully rechecking every inch. Kira scans an open panel with a tricorder. She reacts to a reading and carefully reaches inside the circuitry as her fingers close around her target. She takes it to the commander's office. The alien device we saw in the teaser is now resting on SISKO's table.
I found it inside the replicator's pattern generator.
O'Brien must have accidentally triggered it when he repaired the system.
According to BASHIR, it introduced an anomalous programming sequence into the materialization subroutine. In effect, it built the virus directly into the replicated food at a molecular level.
So what we have here is sabotage.
Cardassian sabotage.
How can you be sure?
Kira picks up the device and slowly turns it over in her hands.
It has a dibaridium core for a power source. That's Cardassian technology.
She hands the device over to SISKO, who studies it.
BASHIR to SISKO.
SISKO here.
I think you'd better come down here to the infirmary, Commander.
On my way.
SISKO enters the infirmary and is met by a solemn BASHIR.
You wanted to see me, Doctor?
Before BASHIR can answer, SISKO spots Jake seated on the diagnostic bed, alone and scared.
Jake!
SISKO and Jake embrace.
It's okay, son. It's okay. I'm here.
Left become better, control, entire hope.
SISKO gives Jake a reassuring smile.
We've converted some empty crew quarters into a hospital ward. He'll be well looked after.
I'll take him there myself. Come on, Jake. It's going to be all right.
He drapes his arm around Jake's shoulder and leads him towards the door.
Commander, when you have a moment, I found something I'd like to show you.
All right.
SISKO nods and exits with Jake. The hospital ward consists of crew quarters transformed into what at first glance resembles a refugee camp. Aphasic victims are scattered throughout the room, many seated on cots that have been set up along the walls, Volunteer nurses, including Nurse Jabara, patrol the area, communicating with the patients by gesture and body language. SISKO and Jake enter. SISKO spots Quark struggling to make himself understood to a Bajoran seated on a cot.
Money, hand, mine, give.
Well, Quark, I see even you couldn't weasel your way clear of this one.
Quark straightens up.
You underestimate the Ferengi immune system, Commander. I'm merely here to visit some of my less fortunate customers. To make sure they're not faking the illness to avoid paying their bills.
No one's that devious, Quark.
I am.
He turns back to the Bajoran patient.
You, gold, owe me!
SISKO leads Jake deeper into the room. At first they are both hesitant. This place looks pretty grim, but they lighten up when they notice O'Brien and Dax who approach. SISKO and Dax exchange a rueful smile.
We're doing everything possible.
Dax holds out a comforting hand to Jake. He looks over at SISKO, who leans over and kisses him on the head.
I'll be back as soon as I can.
SISKO turns, exits, and returns to the infirmary. BASHIR directs him over to a wall monitor, activates the screen. The DNA sequence appears on the monitor.
The virus is synthetic, Commander. Its nucleotide sequence is too perfect. It's clearly not natural.
You're saying the Cardassians genetically engineered this thing?
That's what I thought at first. But I've studied Cardassian genetic engineering. They always build distinctive monoclonal links into their DNA. This virus has none of those features.
All right, then who made it?
That's what I wanted to find out. And so I referenced all known DNA construction techniques in the Federation records. This protein series was the key. It indicates that...
Doctor, who created this virus?
The Bajorans, sir. I believe this must have been a terrorist plot to sabotage the Cardassians while they were here.
In the commander's office, SISKO, Kira, and Odo are sitting around SISKO's desk. Kira is holding the Cardassian programming device.
The energy decay of this power core indicates that it dates back to the building of the station.
That's 18 years ago. I suppose the Bajoran Underground could have smuggled it aboard during construction, before I took over as head of security.
But why would the Underground go to all the trouble of planting a booby trap and then not set it off?
Maybe they forgot.
More likely they were captured or killed before they could release it.
We need to find out who created the virus. You're our best hope, Kira.
18 years is a long time.
Besides, even if she finds this person, there's no guarantee he can help us.
We just have to hope he remembers the antidote.
That's assuming he ever bothered to create one.
Kira is in ops, standing in front of a monitor at Dax's station. Gallus Blinn, a middle-aged Bajoran woman, is on the screen. In the background, we can see that ops is running on a skeleton crew.
It had to be someone in the underground familiar with genetic engineering.
18 years ago. Sounds like something Deacon Elig might have thought up.
How can I find him?
Last I heard, he was in a Cardassian prison.
Where was he being held?
The Vela 7 internment camp, but that was 9 years ago.
And you have no idea where he is now? Think, Gallus, this is important.
I'm sorry, Kira, but it was also long ago.
Nurse Jabara is making her rounds in the hospital ward when she hears a commotion on the other side of the room. A frantic Jake comes running over.
Roll linger, win life. Roll linger, when.
What is it, Jake?
Jake drags her over to where Dax is kneeling over a motionless O'Brien. Dax is checking his vital signs. She takes the nurse's hand and presses it to O'Brien's forehead.
He's running a high fever.
Open way long. Open way.
Doctor, we have an emergency here in the crew quarters.
I'll be right there.
O'Brien is unconscious, his face drawn and sweating. Fade out. End of Act 3. Act 4. Fade in on the infirmary where O'Brien has been moved, his body racked with fever. BASHIR is checking his vital signs monitor. They're dangerously low. A grim-faced SISKO stands alongside.
How is he, Doctor?
Not good, I'm afraid. It seems the virus has attacked his autonomic nervous system.
Can he be stabilized?
He hasn't responded to neural stimulation. I've given him 30 cc's of chlorphazine to avoid secondary infection. But so far, I haven't been able to lower his fever.
What are his chances?
BASHIR eyes the monitor, then faces SISKO.
Unless I find some way to counteract the virus, he'll be dead in 12 hours.
Have you made any progress?
No. I've tried base pair destabilizers, sequential disruption. Nothing seems to affect it. Sir, I have 7 other aphasic patients displaying the same symptoms as O'Brien here, and I'm afraid it's only the beginning.
Keep searching, Doctor, and let's hope Major Kira can find whoever is responsible for creating this virus.
I'd like to meet that person myself. This virus is a work of genius.
I'll try to arrange that for you.
In Ops, Kira is at her station.
Link established with the Bajoran archival records.
Locate files.
To catch one.
And then?
People start dying. Yep.
I'll read from 54A then, which is the beat before that. In Ops, Kira is at her station.
Link established with the Bajoran archival records.
Locate files on Velos 7 internment camp.
Ready.
Do you show a record of an inmate named Deacon Elig?
Affirmative.
Biographical data.
Deacon Elig, geneticist. Former member of the Higa Matar sect of the Bajoran Underground. Killed while attempting escape. Stardate 39355. Certificate of death on file.
The worst news possible. Kira slumps back in defeat.
No need to ask how you're doing.
SISKO exits from the turbo lift.
Chasing after ghosts.
You have 12 hours to catch one.
And then?
People start dying.
SISKO leaves, and Kira returns back to her console.
Computer, display Deacon Elig's certificate of death.
The certificate is brought up on her monitor.
Identify signature of witness.
Certificate of death was witnessed by Cermak Wren, Bajoran medical assistant.
Show me biographical data on Cermak Wren.
Dr. Cermak Wren, former member of the Higa Matar sect of the Bajoran Underground, repatriated to Bajor upon closing of the Velos 7 internment camp, stardate 46302. Current status, unknown.
Quark's is abandoned, except for Quark alone at the Dabo table, as the wheel grinds to a halt.
Bravo.
Having any luck?
Odo stands in the doorway. He makes his way over to the table.
I haven't won a spin in hours. Care to place a friendly wager? I think if it's your reputation you're thinking about, no one need ever know.
It has nothing to do with my reputation. The truth is, I've never learned the game.
You mean you've sat in here all those years and you don't even know how to gamble?
That's correct.
No wonder you always look so bored. The rules are quite simple, actually. I would be happy to teach them to you.
Some other time, perhaps. SISKO needs me in ops. And with the entire security force stricken with aphasia, that leaves the promenade in a very vulnerable position.
How unfortunate.
Consider it a warning, Quark, because I'm holding you personally responsible for anything that turns up missing. Is that understood?
Perfectly.
Odo stares at Quark until he's convinced that the Ferengi has gotten the message. Then he turns and exits. Quark gives the wheel another frustrated spin.
Babel!
In the infirmary, BASHIR is in front of a wall monitor using the computer to test antidotes. He is exhausted.
Computer, analyze test sample 37 Delta. Detail effects on viral containment.
On the monitor, we see a medical readout. The words are clearly in English and make perfect sense.
Working. Analysis complete. Sample 37 Delta ineffective.
BASHIR sags. Another failure.
Viral protein sheath is unaffected. Nucleotide sequence remains intact.
BASHIR's head snaps up, a look of dread on his face.
Computer, replay morning.
Command unclear. Please repeat.
On the monitor, the medical readout on the screen is now indecipherable jumble.
Glass lunch, judge a bin to let it.
Command unclear. Please repeat.
In ops, a weary Kira is still at her console.
Computer, establish link with the Bajoran Medical Index for Northwestern District.
Link established.
Access all information on Dr. Cermak Wren.
There are no records matching that name.
Try the Northeastern District. Same search.
Dr. Cermak Wren, currently serving as Chief Administrator of the Ilvian Medical Complex.
Kira jolts forward in her seat.
Computer, open a channel to the Ilvian Medical Complex. Administrator's office.
A soft, rather pudgy man, Cermak Wren, appears on the console.
This is Dr. Cermak Wren, and you are?
Major Kira Nerys, Bajoran Liaison to Deep Space Nine.
Yes, the old Cardassian mining station. How can I help you?
That depends.
On what?
On whether or not you helped Deacon Elig plant an aphasia virus here 18 years ago.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The screen goes blank. Kira slams the deck in frustration. In the commander's office, Odo, ill at ease, stands before SISKO.
Look here, SISKO. I'm a security officer, a good one, but that doesn't make me qualified to help you run station operations.
You're probably right, Constable.
He gestures towards ops.
But as you can see, you're all I've got.
Kira comes hurrying into SISKO's office.
Commander, I think I found our scientist.
Does he have an antidote?
I don't know. He broke the connection the minute I mentioned the virus.
She heads towards the door, SISKO on her heels.
Major, you mind telling me where you're going?
To continue my conversation with Dr. Cermak in person.
SISKO blocks her path.
Major, I can't allow you to break quarantine. We can't risk spreading the virus to BASHIR.
I am well aware of that, Commander. As a matter of fact, I don't intend to step foot on the planet.
Odo steps forward to break the stalemate.
Better let her go, SISKO.
SISKO's gaze demands Odo give a reason.
She's all we've got.
SISKO steps aside. Kira nods. Goodbye. Exits the office.
I just hope there's someone left to greet her when she returns.
Outside Deep Space Nine, we see Kira's runabout leave the station. In the hospital ward, it is day 3 of the outbreak. Jake and Dax are amongst the crowd watching another aphasic patient in an advanced state of the disease being carried out on a stretcher. SISKO makes his way through the crowd.
Jake, how's it going, fella?
They hug. SISKO exchanges glances with Dax, who nods and steps away. SISKO seats Jake on a cot, then kneels down so that they can be at eye level. He knows Jake can't understand him, but he's hoping that his tone and expression can convey all that he's feeling.
I've missed you, son. I know things don't look too good right now, but they'll get better. You have to believe that, because I'm not going to lose you, Jake. You hear me? I'm not going to lose you.
And the intensity of SISKO's words do get through to Jake, who smiles and gives him a "we're in this together" nod. SISKO smiles back. In ops, Odo is at the operations table, staring at a panel. SISKO enters.
You better take a look at this. We have activity on docking port 5. I think a ship's about to depart.
Docking port 5. That's Jahil's ship. Put him on screen.
On the view screen, the image of Captain Jahil appears. He's frantically working his ship's control panels.
Captain, your ship has not been cleared for departure. Clamps are locked, and I don't use them.
I suggest you change your mind. I'm taking aft thrusters to 1/2.
Outside, we see Jahil's ship's engines firing, but the vessel remains held fast to the station. Back in ops.
Captain, cut your engines before you rip your ship apart.
He's not reducing power.
Jahil, I'm ordering you to stand down.
Jahil's ship shudders from the strain of his engines.
Your orders are no concern of mine. My entire crew has been confined to your hospital. I must leave now while I still function.
Look, I understand you're frightened, but believe me, you're better off here. You don't want to be out there alone and get hit by the virus.
Don't worry about me. I'm fine, and I intend to stay that way.
SISKO hits a panel to meet communication with Jahil.
Damn.
What's wrong?
There's too much stress on the mooring clamps. They're not retracting.
A violent shake almost knocks SISKO and Odo off their feet. The view screen image disappears into static.
His aft isolation plate buckled.
SISKO comes over to check the console.
The main power core has been ruptured. If the internal fuel cells collapse, the whole ship will explode.
And take half the docking ring with it.
Fade out. End of Act 4. Act 5. Fade in. Kira's runabout is orbiting around BASHIR. Inside, Kira is in the cockpit taking readings.
Computer, isolate a comm line to the Ilvian Medical Complex, Administrator's Office.
Line isolated.
Scan the office for life forms.
1 life form present.
Lock on and stand by to transport.
She works the console. Sumac Wren appears on screen.
This is Dr. Cermak.
Hello again, Doctor. Just wanted to make sure you were still in your office.
I have nothing to say to you.
Sumac moves to sever the connection, but Kira is quicker. She touches a panel and Sumac dematerializes. A delighted Kira swirls around in her chair to find a flabbergasted Sumac materialize on the runabout transport pad.
Welcome aboard.
Sumac steps off the pad.
This is outrageous. I demand you return me to my office immediately.
Relax, Doctor. You won't be gone long.
Kira works the controls panels and plots a new course. Sumac feels the ship leaving orbit.
Where are you taking me?
To the space station.
In ops, SISKO and Odo are staring at the static field view screen.
Try to reestablish visual contact with Jahil's ship.
No response. His comm lines are down.
Bypass communication through his secondary grid. See if you can switch to external pickups.
Got it.
On the view screen, the static clears, replaced with the burning bridge of Jahil's vessels. Jahil is nowhere in sight.
His fire control systems don't appear to be working.
We have about 15 minutes before the fuel cells collapse.
SISKO is hit by a sudden wave of dizziness. He tries to fight it off.
I hope you feel better than you look.
It must be this damn virus. This is SISKO. Any station personnel who can understand what I'm saying should come to ops immediately. We need help up here. We have to get that ship away from the station.
Why don't we explode the mooring clamps? The blast should push the ship away from the docking ring.
We'll have to get down there and blow them manually.
I'll do it.
All right. You can cross barrels, all job appalled.
What was that you...
Read the arrive scene earlier.
Oh, I see.
SISKO slumps down helplessly in his chair. Back in the runabout.
Major, this is kidnapping. Turn this ship around or I swear you'll spend the rest of your life in Kran Tobal prison.
Fine, but first we need your help. The aphasia virus is spreading through the station.
But why come to me?
You helped create the virus, didn't you?
Sumac sits down beside her.
No, I had practically nothing to do with it. Deacon Elig created the virus. I was merely his medical assistant. It all seems like a lifetime ago. I was only with the Underground 6 months before we were captured. I am not responsible for this.
I am not looking to place blame. All I want is the antidote.
But I don't know of any antidote. If Deacon made one, he never told me.
Look, all I know is I have a station full of dying people, and you're the closest thing to an expert on this virus.
I sympathize, Major, but I don't think I can help you.
Kira stares at Sumac.
All right. Then how about helping yourself?
Meaning what?
Meaning, I've been infected with your virus, Doctor. So now you've been infected too.
In ops, Odo is taking readings. SISKO is in the background.
To anyone who can hear me, this is Odo. SISKO's infected. I could really use some help in ops.
Do I detect a note of panic in your voice?
Quark, am I to believe you're volunteering to help?
Who said anything about volunteering? But we can haggle over price later. Now, how may I be of service?
I need to get to docking port 5 now. That ship is going to explode in 5 minutes.
I'll beam you over.
Quark moves to the transporter control panel. He notices Odo's hesitation.
Relax. I served on a Ferengi freighter for 8 years.
Odo steps onto the transporter pad.
I must have witnessed this procedure hundreds of times.
Witnessed? You mean to say you've never handled the controls yourself?
But before Odo can step off the pad...
Energizing!
Odo dematerializes. At docking port 5, Odo appears out of the smoke pouring through an open airlock. In ops, Quark crosses over to take Odo's place at the operations table.
Here to ops, approaching landing pad 7. Request clearance to initiate docking procedure.
Welcome back, Major. I could use some help up here.
Quark, what are you doing in ops?
Down in the infirmary, Kira, looking pale, enters with Sumac.
First thing I need to see is your doctor's viral characterization research.
He seats himself at a wall monitor. He taps the console, and the monitor displays BASHIR's notes.
He was beginning to develop an antidote series. Let's take a look at that.
Kira dabs at her forehead. Her hand comes away damp with sweat.
Listen, I'll be in ops. If you need me, use the string.
Sumac looks at her oddly. She hesitates, confusion lining her face.
Impact. Lots show red intense.
I think you better sit down, Major.
He helps her to a seat, then turns back to the monitor. Back at docking port 5, Odo is making his way through the smoke. Jahil, having escaped from his ship, lies half-conscious on the floor. Odo lifts him up.
Dog fellow distance.
Tell me about it.
In ops, Quark is at the operations table, starting to feel the pressure as he checks a console.
Odo, that ship's going to explode in 1 minute.
At docking port 5, Odo carries Jahil to safely, and then carries on his mission. In the infirmary, Sumac is scanning the monitor, keeping up a running commentary for Kira. She doesn't understand a word, but she watches him intently, hoping for some sign of success.
Firearm protein sheath? Mm-hmm. Nucleotide sequence. Yes. That's right. It's an adaptive synaptic inhibitor. Deacon was brilliant. There's no doubt of that.
He continues to work. Back at docking port 5, Odo moves over to a wall near the airlock, searching for the correct access panel.
40 seconds.
Odo finds the panel and tears it open, revealing a lever in an upright position. Odo slams it down.
30 seconds. Hurry!
Odo crosses across through the smoke to the other side of the airlock and heaves open another access panel. He flips down another lever. In ops, Quark assumes the defensive position known as the Ferengi Cringe.
20 seconds!
Back at the docking port 5, Odo double times it through the smoke.
No, I know.
He arrives at a control panel, presses a button, the airlock's doors closed. He quickly punches in a code sequence and braces himself against the wall. We hear the sound of the mooring clamps explode. Outside docking port 5, we see Jahil's ship, blown free of the clamps, pushed clear of the docking port. Back in ops, as the shaking subsides, Quark gets to his feet, as there is a blast.
Quark to Odo, you still with us?
In port 5, Odo picks himself up.
Try not to sound too disappointed.
In ops, Quark leans comfortably back in Kira's chair.
Now, about that little matter of my hazard pay.
In docking port 5, Odo's eyes narrow. Meanwhile, in the infirmary.
Your doctor came very close to finding the antidote himself. The answer is in a progressive base substitution.
He gets up and crosses to an equipment drawer and takes out a 24th century syringe.
Now I just need to take a blood sample.
And he begins to draw Kira's blood. We see a view of Deep Space Nine, a jewel amongst the stars.
Station log, stardate 46425.8. We're continuing to administer Dr. Cermak's antidote throughout the station. Things are slowly returning to normal.
In ops, it's fully staffed and business as usual. SISKO, Dax, Kira and O'Brien are all at their stations. SISKO crosses to the replicator, passing O'Brien on his way.
Good to have you back, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
O'Brien sees where SISKO's headed, and a look of panic crosses his face.
Hot coffee, black.
SISKO, cup in hand, takes a big gulp and nearly gags. The coffee's awful. Again.
O'Brien?
All eyes turn to O'Brien. Fade out. The end.
All
right. One moment. Let me put us in gallery view. Wow, what a fun episode. Am I right? Paul, tell me your favorite part of this episode. Sorry to put you on the spot.
Probably the gobbledygook, the aphasic speech. I think is probably it's fun. It's fun to say. So that would be my favorite part.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. It's really fun when you change the script as well.
Yeah, I had to really rein myself back in because Carl put me under pressure whenever he said, "I'm trusting you." And I was like, because I was going to say, like, jizz monkey bleached anus, like that was the sort of stuff I was going to say. And then whenever Carl said that, I was like, fuck, I can't say that stuff now.
Can I just say, me and my sister are both having like a principal fantasy. Like Kirsten's playing like superintendent of like a public but good school district in like Iowa, and I'm like the stage manager principal. I'm just that's an experience that I had today. Yeah, but Kirsten and Max, can you talk about Can you talk about what it was like kind of reimagining Jake and SISKO's relationship?
Max, you want to go first?
Sure, yeah. I think it's really funny that we're the ones who were cast for those roles. But I think it is a little difficult to do this way, but I thought it was fun, and do the best we can with the little bit of text that we have to.
Yeah. Agreed. It's hard. It's really hard to like be a parent without like touching, like you're in, like, and you can't do that.
Right. One thing I wanted to say is, when we realized that we didn't have any people of color, essentially on this show, Steffi and I took a step back and were like, okay, like how are we going to think about roles that are specific in this way in the future? And I just wanted to start that conversation with you all and say that that's something that we're very conscious of. We ultimately decided, in my reading of this, when I cast Kirsten as SISKO, I was like, there's no reason that they can't in this episode just be played as like, a woman and her son, a woman in a position of power and authority, like having to contend with this thing. But that said, like, there are important swaths of DS9 that deal with identity and race and culture, and I think that when we start to get into that material, we're going to continue the conversation about how to do that. And I think it's so funny. I didn't anticipate that we'd have essentially double the people on this call today. But I imagine that there's probably going to be something of a regular influx of people wanting to be involved with this. So I want to continue to talk to you all about how to make this sustainable and like fun. So I'm certainly open to any feedback you have, but I also just wanted to turn it back to you all and hear what you had to say about this episode. Answer, if there's something that you've been thinking about, like if there's a question you wish I would have asked and I didn't,
I would just like to say, like, for SISKO, it was just nice to be the person in charge and to actually like strictly enforce the quarantine instead of injecting ourselves with bleach.
For me, one of the themes of this episode is the legacy of terrorism, and I obviously grew up in Northern Ireland, and one of the things that made me really connect with Deep Space Nine was that it was BASHIR is a post-conflict society where they've set up a civilian government, where they've incorporated people that collaborated with the Cardassians and people that fought for the liberation of BASHIR. Mm-hmm. And it was something that was happening in Northern Ireland at that very time when it was being broadcast here in the UK. Right. So it was something that I immediately connected with, and seeing Major Kira, who was, a position of authority and also a former terrorist, was something that we were having to deal with here at the same time, seeing former terrorists being brought into government and being put into positions of authority. And it was a really weird experience, and it was wonderful how they handled it in Deep Space Nine. So it's just that's just something that I connected with, and it was one of the things that made me love the show.
I want to hear more thoughts, but I just want to put a pin in that really fast and say, like, Paul, I feel like there's a whole podcast we could do around what you just said. So I'm not going to respond to it right now because I think there's literally like dozens of hours of conversation about what you just said. But I'm going to reel it back in for this episode. What about you, Angel? What was it like playing Odo?
Well, I think the challenge of doing Odo's voice is kind of difficult because he has this like constant breathy growl, and like there's certain there are certain words where I can really nail it. Like if I say Quark, you know, it's easy to get that, but like doing whole lines, sometimes it's hard. What's interesting about Odo is that like he, you know, he has to, it's easy to say like he's like the character on the show that's trying to struggle with his own humanity, the outsider, like the Spock or the Data character, but he's different in that he like already has like sort of a fully developed personality, so to speak, like, or at least like he's better at sort of playing at a fully formed, you know, sentient being. Like he doesn't seem like, I guess because, you know, he's always grown up around, you know, solids, and so he like adapted their behavioral patterns very quickly, and he doesn't act unfamiliar with them. So it is kind of interesting how especially in the early in the pre-Dominion story arcs on Deep Space Nine, the main thread of his isn't like, oh, you know, what species am I? It's more just like, well, how do I reconcile the fact that I like worked for, you know, the Cardassians and also, you know, consider myself sympathetic to the underground rebels, and, you know, I fall in love with a Bajoran, and there's a really good episode later where he like directly has to answer for like the fact that he executed, you know,
right.
dissidents at the behest of the behest. There's this whole like Odo is constantly projecting this persona of competence and superiority, and like, you know, I am the dude who's best at doing this job. Everyone else is full of shit, because it's kind of a defense mechanism against him having to deal with like, I am complicit, you know, in war crimes.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Can I just say, Angel, your impression I thought was fantastic, and you and Bex together in scenes was just spectacular. I loved it.
Agreed.
I think this is the first episode when we start to see the relationship between Odo and Quark really start to flesh out.
Right.
And that scene when Quark turns up in Ops and does the transporter, it really just sets the tone for the next 7 seasons of the show.
Yeah, Bex, talk to me about your Quark.
So I'm pretty new to Deep Space Nine, and I got cast as Quark, not realizing he was going to be my favorite character. So that was really lucky. I left my Invisalign trays in so I could do a little more lispy. Yeah. But I was thinking about who would Quark be today in this coronavirus situation.
Oh God, yeah.
He would have pre-filled bleach syringes ready to go.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
He'd be selling them on the black market.
Quark is Martin Shkreli. Like, let's be honest.
Yes.
Quark would have totally like bought all the toilet paper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
And now he'd be selling the toilet paper for like $50 a roll.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, Leah, talk to me about your relationship with Kira, and like, you know, what was this episode like as far as your relationship with that character?
Oh gosh, I loved her a lot. She's my favorite, and I don't know. I love her anger. Like, I love that she's this angry, defensive, aggressive woman who's just like fighting everybody in season 1. She's just so mad at everybody all the time, and it's fantastic. And she has this really good character arc that Nana Visitor has talked about a lot, where she goes from this super defensive, traumatized, to like softening and opening up a lot over the course of the 7 seasons.
Right.
And I really love that arc for her, and I love getting to be angry and kidnap scientists.
Yeah, so we have a few folks who joined today and they were not here for the first one, so this was their first experience. I'm curious for James, Charlene, Leta, and Zach. What was this like for you?
It was loads of fun, and it took me back to when I used to do theater as a kid.
Oh.
So, yeah, I grew up with an aunt who's an actress, and she used to pick us up after school and take us to her auditions with her, and me and my brothers, that is. And so it's just kind of fun to get back into it. I haven't done theater in quite a few years, so being able to participate in something like this is definitely it brings back all those fun feelings of being able to perform and try on a new hat and see where it goes.
Yeah. And Casey, I know that your character this time was very different than your character last time. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. I feel like my own personality is much closer to Harry Kim's, which is who I played last time. Jahil is a complete asshole, totally selfish. Like I think the easiest way to make me kind of understand where he was coming from was just thinking about, just failing to think about other people. He's very self-absorbed. He wants to protect himself. He just isn't thinking about how what he is doing is affecting other people.
Right.
Also the toilet paper guy.
Yes, there are a lot of folks like that, right now. They're just refusing to do their shelter in place because they simultaneously think that they're invincible, but also are like deathly afraid of getting sick. So it's like they're just in complete denial about what's going on.
You know what's funny for me is like my whole reason for doing this in the to begin with was like, oh, like Star Trek. Like there's tons of people who love Star Trek. It would just be like a fun diversion. But what's funny to me is that like as I'm rewatching through DS9 myself right now, I'm like, wow, there's a lot that's like really topical in this show in a way that, I mean, yeah, Paul, my experience was very different. I came up, when was this? It was like 92 this episode was, but I wouldn't have seen this probably until the late 90s. And for me, I didn't really start to watch through like all the Star Treks with my dad. And Kirsten, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like around 1999, 2000 is when I kind of like had my intro to Star Trek, and then 9/11 happened, and
What happened that day? I'm
Right.
sorry, I forgot.
Right. Never forget. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a way in which, and I'm not gonna go off the rails here, but I'll say that one of the things that's been interesting for me, like as my sister and I have like grown into adults, is that like I went through this whole phase of like Star Trek is dumb. Star Trek is like a thing that I did like in elementary school. It's stupid. And like I had to sort of like rediscover it as an adult. Whereas my sister Kirsten, who was SISKO, like just like never, like she just was all in from Star Trek from the beginning. So that's been fun.
Yes.
It's also well, like it's just, but it's funny because I think that there was a way in which, for Paul, this was a show that really spoke to the moment he was in, and it was something that I had I didn't have any context for kind of the broader philosophical and political discourse of the show. So like I said, I've watched this show before. I do think it's the best written of the classic Star Trek shows, but
I'd actually like to touch on that a little bit because
Sure.
I used to consider Deep Space Nine to be my least favorite of all of the shows, and I think it's because I really liked watching crews on a starship go out on adventures to various places and interacting with different planets and whatnot. And, at Deep Space Nine, they're, stuck in one place for the most part. I mean, they go out sometimes, but I think that actually allows Deep Space Nine to explore a lot more social commentary types of storylines that some of the others don't do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also, one thing I love about, Carl's right, I've never not been a Trekkie. But like one thing that I love about like going back and rewatching, and I will like every couple of years, I'll go back and rewatch all, just like from the original series through Deep Space or Voyager, excuse me. And one thing I love about going back is like, you take away different things as an adult than you do whenever you watch it as a kid. Like whenever I watched Deep Space Nine, like as a kid, I was in love with Jadzia Dax. Like she is like my character, and she was like confident and goofy and silly, and I was like, that is like who I want to be when I grow up. But as a kid, you're growing up and your perspective is like, okay, she's like an awesome like cis, hetero woman, and then like going back and watching it as an adult, like I'm like, no, she's not. Like she's so much more complex than that. Like she's got so many more layers that just makes her like rewatching these as an adult like makes me fall in love with these characters and their dilemmas all over again in like a whole new way.
I will say I hypothesize that DS9 benefited from the direct competitive pressure put on it by Babylon 5, and that's why it's one of the best treks.
I think the other advantage it had was that Rick Berman
yes
was distracted with the end of Next Gen and the start of Voyager. So Berman really paid no attention to this, and he just let a producer who has green hair and a purple beard run the show, and you can tell that's who's running the show.
Yeah. Oh, like the outfits? Like the outfits that like the Bajorans wear and like all the aliens wear. Oh my god.
But
like those fabrics.
All the little like crocheted vests and stuff that Kira has every time she goes planetside.
Yeah, like macrame like messenger bags. It's so good. Or like the windbreakers. Lila May.
Doesn't Major Kira get a quilted shoulder as well?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's right.
Love quilting. Don't see enough of that in space, people.
Oh my god.
Oh, man.
We have to figure out the ugliest outfit from DS9.
I mean, it could
So one Jake wears that's like green and blue.
But I think looking like a bus seat is a great fashion statement.
Hold on, there were two folks talking at once. Leah, can you repeat yourself?
Uniform by far.
I said people make fun of Jake because he always looks like a bus seat, but I think looking like a bus seat is a great fashion statement.
And then Steffi, what were you gonna say?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna. Well, it kind of Leah's kind of preempted me. I was gonna say Jake with his. There was one he wore that was like bright, like lime green and blue. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the outfits that Bashir and O'Brien wear later in the series to play a racquetball will go on the holiday.
Oh my god. Oh, that's right.
Those are hilarious, though.
How about Jadzia's wedding dress, though? Like,
oh no, the dress that Quark wears when he becomes a woman.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I forgot that episode.
Okay, that's
oh my god.
I can't work out if that's awful or awesome though.
All the Ferengi clothes were amazing.
Yeah,
they were
they were
just
kind
something else.
So another thing that I'll comment on is that I was able to find some sound cues that worked really well. And yeah, we're gonna just build up our collection of sound cues, but I'm really glad I was able to get this in there.
Directly to the
And our capability. I didn't actually hear any sound effects, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It might just be they happened on the screen.
Directly to the forehead. Head on. Apply directly to the.
You didn't hear the head-on moment?
Yeah, no,
yeah,
I heard that.
Okay, good.
What is that?
I was really close.
This is not the sound I'm expecting.
Is that from a commercial or what is that?
Yeah. I'm gonna have that in my head
that's
for a while now.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna find a link to this. So in the 90s, which is, you know, you would have seen this commercial on a DS9 or a Voyager. There's this product called Head On, and you like apply it directly to your forehead to like alleviate headaches.
This
As
was
she
on.
said.
I thought this was like in. I thought this was like in the like 2000s. I
Oh,
thought it was
maybe
a little-
then too. Yeah. So literally the commercial. I'm gonna show it. I'm gonna send you a link in the chat. I cannot play. I'm not gonna be able to play it on the stream, but yeah, it's just this woman doing this, and it's head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, apply directly to the forehead. Head on, and it's just the same thing. I actually grabbed the audio from that from a 10-hour loop of that that I found on YouTube. So, oh my gosh. Well, does anyone have? Oh my god, it's playing. I didn't mean to play it. Does anyone have any closing thoughts?
I couldn't help but like think when watching this episode, realizing that it's kind of just a slightly more serious version of the Naked Time.
Oh,
Like just
okay.
as far as the basic premise, it's just that instead of the virus making people act funny, it makes them talk funny, and
Also,
because it's
instead of being caused by some random ensign on a planet, like taking his glove off and touching his things and touching his
Right.
face without a glove on, it's caused by some Bajor they teach.
yeah, giving the virus an actual like origin is a twist. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and without Tasha turning up and seducing Data with that curl on her forehead.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's still my headcanon that Tasha could not have been the only person to have sex with Data on the Enterprise D. Like I refuse to accept it.
Oh no, Berman did her
There
dirty
was
from
that
the
one girl
second
he
she was
dated
on
later
set.
on in like season 5 or something.
What?
There was that one girl he dated later on in like season 5 or something.
Yeah, but so the problem is in First Contact when the Queen asked like when was the last time you used your quote functions unquote, the length of time that he specifies indicates that it's referencing, you know, when the Naked Now, which I just like that's not how that would have happened. The story would have got out somehow and other people would have been too curious not to try.
Yeah, that's probably true.
My headcanon includes Commander Data having a groinal vacuuming attachment.
You could write like a Judd Apatow style sex comedy about a group of ensigns who are all betting on who can fuck Data first.
Yeah, I agree.
Surely
Split
it just
50
takes some
first
kind of
Data.
electrical discharge to completely fuck him.
Doesn't he have sex with Tasha Yar when she's under the influence of some virus or something?
That's what we're saying. That's the only on-screen implied instance of Data having sex with someone on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
I feel like if Riker had been up
issues there, you know. Like...
He was very close to Geordie, though. I'm just saying.
Geordi was only into holograms, not androids.
That's rough. I mean, and who can blame him, you know?
I mean, Geordie wouldn't even see it coming.
Wow.
All right, and with that, I'm gonna thank.
Good night, everybody.
Hold on. We had. I'm gonna fuck up some of these names, so just be ready. Paul Bloomer as O'Brien. We had Robbie Laughton as Dr. Bashir. We had Maksim Cullen Rex as Jake. Angel Martí Castillo as Odo. Leah Newton as Kira Nerys. Leta, remind me your last name again, Leta.
Templeman.
Templeman,
Chrisman.
thank you. We're gonna smooth this out for next time. Leta Templeman, thank you so much. Sorry about that. We had Morgan Murphy as the computer. We had Kirsten Lee Johnson as Commander SISKO. We had Bex Renfro as Quark. Casey Lowry as Jahil. And what was your other? You were one of the like horny Starfleet officers.
Bajoran
right?
security guard.
There you
Horny
go.
security guard.
Bajoran security guard. We had Stephanie Philpotts as Nurse Jabara. We had Zach Coates as Asoth and Starfleet Male. We had James Fields as Cermak. We had, oh god, this is where we had Charlene as Gallus. We had, oh my lord, David Crow as Stage Directions. Steffi, help me out here. I didn't take note of these last minute swap outs. Who am I missing?
Yeah, so hold on, I'll try in Discord and
Sorry to put you on the spot.
no, it's fine.
If I didn't say your name, just call it out now and I'll thank you.
So Kirsten also did the businessman.
Yes, Kirsten,
and
businessman.
Zach was also Starfleet male.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you, Kirsten, for businessman, and Zach Coates as Starfleet male. And Leah, I think you were the other cat caller. So thank you for that.
No, I grabbed the one of the aphasic Starfleet people.
Oh, great.
Yeah, they were a surprise because I think they
weren't in the cast.
Right.
I think they were in the cast, but I thought they weren't speaking roles because they're named as something different in the original cast list to what they're named as in the in the script. So,
yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
We're going to have a script producer for next time to sort of manage the literature that we're using. But thank you again for joining. We had a hell of a lot of fun, and we hope you did too. And we will post in our group when we're looking for the next one. So join the group if you haven't. Join the Discord server if you haven't. And we will be in touch. And with that, I'm going to roll the credits. And